Okay. What's up, guys?
I think we got a problem. Got a problem.
Let's go. Get up. It's that club, baby. You hear that? You can't sit down to that. Okay.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy, Shigaluch, LOXD Block, Silverback. Hey, yo, right now I need to shout out the ISUPK classes.
I want to give a huge, big, humongous shout out to all the UPK schools.
You can't sit down to that.
Shout out to Black Watch, hosted by General Johanna. Word, I need y'all to check out Cross the Line Radio as well, man. They've been open all week from 7 to 9. They ain't shut down because of the corona, the COVID and all that. They rockin' strong, you know what I mean?
Think we got a problem, but really it ain't though. It's one of me and these bitches, I count about 3, 4. Think we got a problem, but homie just all talk. He ain't gon' pop a balloon with a pitchfork. Nah, think we got a problem in the club with this dog. Rude boys, dogs, ladies, everybody. Yo, shit, what the
Yeah. We are back. We are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge out of Harlem, New York since 1969 under Commanding General Johanna. We're here to teach the so-called Black, so-called Hispanic, and so-called Native Americans that we are the true Israelites of the Bible. Tonight is an interesting class. Now, initially I was going to teach on Deborah, but I was getting a lot of questions thrown at me about Gentiles and strangers and stuff like that. Like, who are the strangers? Who, the strangers are non-Israelites. Now, I've said this, and we've said this in the School of Universal Practical Knowledge many times. Listen, there's a certain way you must understand the scriptures. I go over it a lot before class. And before we get into this class, whenever I'm getting into these type of studies, I like to lay this out because it's very important to understand how you understand the scriptures. You can't understand the Bible as if it was written from an American's point of view.
That's right.
You can't understand the Bible from America's linguistics. You just can't do it. You listen. The reason why anybody can go inside of the scriptures and they can come up with anything because they're reading it from their presupposition. America has a presupposition about everything. All right. Just like any culture, any country, any nation, they have laws, they have statutes, and they have commandments, right? Those laws, statutes, and commandments within those cultures, Salakia, which is in those countries, within those nations, they create a culture. And that's how you interpret things based on their culture. Like, for instance, here in America, they have laws, they have statutes, right? And within their laws and within their statutes, it gives you an understanding. Like, for instance, here in America, you can be whatever you want to be. If you was born a male, you can be a female. If you was born a female, you could be a male. This is a part of America's culture. Right now, they're trying to get rid of pronouns.
Right.
They're trying to get rid of he, she. They're trying to get rid of those things so it can fit within their culture based on the laws that they created, that you can be whatever you want to be. All right. That's a part of America's culture. A part of America's culture, when they go and they establish their laws in Congress what they do is down with the state, it travels down to the state, and the state regulates it. That would be the statutes. And within those statutes, they'll do something called red line. Now, if you don't know what red line is, now this is a part of America's culture, and this is how you interpret things in America. I'm going to show you. Red line is when they say, okay, we're not going to put any type of funding in this community. We're not going to put any type of funding in their school system. And when they do that, that creates school to prison pipeline. We understand school to prison pipeline in America because it's a part of America's culture, and it was created based on their laws. You see, everything has laws.
Right.
Everything has statutes. Everything has commandments, and it develops a culture. Well, guess what? In these scriptures, we have laws, we have statutes, and we have commandments. And this is how you must interpret the scriptures. You can't read it like it's an American book, like someone from America wrote it, and now this is how you understand it. And that's the problem that Christians have. This is why Christians say anything. Why? Because in America, you can say anything. In America, you can be anything. So because you can be anything in America, guess what? This is why you have so many different understandings when they go inside of the scriptures. All right. And when you read these scriptures and you read the word for stranger or the word for Gentile, you can't rely on a concordance. The concordance can give you the definition of the word, but it can't give you the culture of it. And that's one of the problems. And this book was written for and by and to so-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, and so-called Native American people.
That's right.
And we have a different flow. You dig? Well, what do I mean when I say you dig? Am I saying that we getting a shovel and we digging up dirt? No. When I say, okay, for instance, if I go and I say bread, now, based on how I said bread and what the context is, it can mean anything. If I say bread, yo, you got my bread? Well, I'm not saying you got my actual bread. I'm asking you got my money.
Right.
Or if I say cheese, cheddar, you feel me? If I say you feel me, I'm not saying you literally coming up on me and feeling me. I'm asking you, do you understand me? So in our culture, one word can have many meanings, and everything is based on the context on how I'm saying it. And this is one of the major problems we have with the word stranger. And that's the word we're going to deal with tonight. We're going to deal with the law of the stranger, dealing in our culture, dealing with our laws, our statutes, our commandments. Now let me give you a little insight. Give me Isaiah dealing with precepts. Now, precepts is what we use in the scriptures. We use precept to get an understanding. And this is how one must get an understanding. We're going to go to Isaiah 28:9. Read.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 28, verse 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge?
Question. Whom shall he teach knowledge? It's a simple question by the Most High. These words, all these words are inspired by the Most High. All right. So he asked the question, whom shall he teach knowledge? The scripture teaches that my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge.
Right.
All right. So now he's coming and saying, whom shall he teach knowledge? Read.
And whom shall he make to understand doctrine?
Whom shall he make understand doctrine? Whom? This is how. Keep reading.
Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast.
So remember, we teach in our laws, our statutes, our commandments, a part of our culture, that you have to be born again. You have to come like a newborn baby. A newborn child that comes out of the womb knows nothing. It's whatever the parents, whatever the culture, whatever the environment shows him and teaches him. That's what mows him. So this is why it says, read that again.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 28, verse 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine?
Now, this is one that is born again. Read.
Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast.
Like a baby. Like a baby. Watch this. This is how it must go. Read.
For precept must be upon precept.
Precept must be up on precept. Read.
Precept upon precept.
Precept upon precept.
Line upon line.
Line up on line. Here a little and there a little. Here a little and there a little. Verse 11, it says, for with stammering lips and another tongue will I speak to this people. Why? Because we're in captivity. And when we're in captivity, now we're speaking the language of the people or the nation that put us in captivity. So it must be precept. Let's see what it says in verse 10. Precept must. It doesn't say precept have to be or kind of sort. It says must. That means it's a definite. It says must be up on precept. So it says, let me read it from the top. This is Isaiah 28 and 10. For precept must be up on precept. Precept upon precept. Line up on line. Line up on line. Here a little, there a little. Now, the reason why we can go here a little and there a little is because the Bible goes together and nothing can contradict itself. The Bible cannot contradict the Bible. If you read something in Revelation, it's going to go with Genesis. If you read something in Exodus, it's going to go with Deuteronomy. If you read something in any of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, the book of Acts, Romans, any of the books, any of the epistles, they're all going to go and they're all going to flow like a river.
Right.
It's always going to flow. Precept must be upon precept. Well, where do we get our precepts from? Let's get Hebrews 9 and 19. Let me show you how you get your precepts. This is how you get your precepts.
Book of Hebrews, chapter 9, verse 19.
Read.
For when Moses had spoken every precept.
When Moses had what?
For when Moses had spoken every precept.
Read.
To all the people according to the law.
According, you can stop right there. According to the law. This is how you read a precept. This is how you get understanding. Everything in the scriptures is navigated by the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. This is why the first 5 books is so vital. Because the first 5 books establish that. That's where we establish our government.
Right.
That's where we establish our understanding. It's according to the law. So this is how precepts are interpreted. You can't interpret it, but listen, if you're trying to get an understanding from America's perspective on something, law or statute that the Greeks and Romans had created, then guess what? You're going to be in error. You're going to be in complete error. And you're not going to be able to get an understanding because Esau's spirit is not our spirit.
Right.
These are 2 different spirits. We flow completely different. When we talk with a swag. We talk with flavor. We talk with salt. We're the salt of the earth. That's how we speak. That's how we talk. We got a certain vibe. Their vibe is different from ours. So if they look and read our information or listen to us talk, they have to get an understanding from us, not from us getting an understanding from them. Remember that. Precept must be up on precept. And what is a precept? Read that again in 19. Hebrews 9 and 19 again.
Book of Hebrews, chapter 9, verse 19. For when Moses had For when Moses has spoken every precept to all the people according to the law.
According to the law. That's the point. That's the point that I really want to bring out. Because this is how you get an understanding. You cannot rely on America's laws, statutes, and the commandments. I just want to make sure that we really get an understanding based on what I'm saying while we go into this study, the law of the strangers. Now, the law of the strangers. Let's deal with it. Now, when we hear the word stranger in America, we put it in a different context from the scriptures, because a stranger is not someone that is of my people. A stranger would be a stranger, someone that I don't know, someone that's not a part of me. All right. That's how America can interpret the word stranger. But I'm going to give you an insight. When you look up the word stranger in the Bible, in the first place, the word stranger, anybody knows where the first place the word stranger appears? In the scriptures. Because for some reason, Christians believe when they see the word stranger, oh, that is not an Israelite. That's not an Israelite. A stranger is somebody else. The first place the word stranger appears in the scriptures is Genesis chapter 15 and verse 13. Let's go there. Let's see. Let's take a look at the word stranger and see how it is applied in the scriptures, based on our laws, based on our statutes, based on our commandments, based on precept upon precept, line upon line. Here a little, there a little. All right. Let's see the word stranger. The word stranger. Now, this is the first time the word stranger appears. Read. Salakia, start at verse 12 so we get context. Read.
Book of Genesis, chapter 15, verse 12.
Come on.
And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram.
A deep sleep fell upon Abram. Go ahead.
And lo, in horror of great darkness fell upon him.
Come on.
And he said to Abram, know of a surety.
Know of a surety. Know of a surety. Read.
That thy seed.
That thy what?
That thy seed.
That thy what?
That thy seed.
That means Abram's seed. Read.
Shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs.
Shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. So the first time the word stranger appears, it appears for Abraham, his seed. Read that again.
And when the sun
No, start at verse 13.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 15, verse 13.
Come on.
And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs.
So Abram's seed is going to be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. Read.
And shall serve them. And they.
Salakia. And serve them. And serve them. The them is someone else. The them is not talking about the seed of Abraham. The them is the actual people or the actual nation that is in that land. Read.
They shall afflict them 400 years.
So they shall afflict the seed of Abraham, which is a stranger in their land 400 years. So the first time we see the word stranger, was used with Israelites. It was used with Israelites. Now let's see the second time the word stranger is used. Go to Genesis 17 and 8. Start at 7. Read.
He said 17 and
17 and 7.
Oh, God.
Now, this is the second time the word stranger appears. So why am I'm the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm trying to show you that don't necessarily believe and think that when you see the word stranger, it's dealing with a non-Israelite. You cannot do that. Read.
Oh, God. The book of Genesis, chapter 17, verse 7. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee in their generations, for an everlasting covenant,
Come on.
to be a God unto thee, and to thy seed after thee.
So it's speaking about that same seed that we read in Genesis 15. That same seed that we read in Genesis 15 and 13. Read.
And I will give thee, Salakia, and I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger.
Where thou art a stranger. So the second time it uses the word stranger, it's dealing with Israelites. Read.
All the land of Canaan.
All the land of Canaan. Now we know in verse 13 and 15 who the they would is. Now we know who the they, where it says they will afflict them. They are going to afflict the stranger, which is the seed of Abraham in that land. Now we know that it's the Canaanites. Read.
For an everlasting possession, and I will be their God.
Now, that's the second time the word stranger appears. That's the second time the word stranger appears. Now I'm going to show you the third time it appears. Go, actually keep reading.
And God said unto Abraham, thou shalt keep my covenant. Therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generation.
Read.
This is my covenant.
Come on.
Which ye shall keep between me and you.
Between me and you. This is Abraham and thy seed. So this is a covenant that he is establishing with Abraham and his seed. Read.
After thee.
Come on.
Every man child among you shall be circumcised.
So now he's establishing a statute. He's saying every male seed, every male child among you shall be circumcised. This is what he's telling Abraham. He's not saying that every male among them is a part of, and he's establishing the covenant with. He established the covenant with Abraham in the seed, in thy seed. But now he's telling them, listen, every man child among you shall be circumcised. Read.
And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin.
Come on.
And it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you.
So that's between me and you. That's between me and you. Every male among you, I want you to circumcise them. That's a covenant between me and you. Not between me and them, but me and you and your seed. Read.
And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you.
So anyone that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you. Read.
Every man child in your generations.
Come on.
He that is born in the house.
He that is born in your house. That means he that is your seed. He has to be circumcised. Read.
Or bought with money of any stranger.
Or bought with money or any stranger. Read.
Which is not of thy seed.
Which is not of thy seed. Now, hold on. Now we see the word seed appear the third time. And now it's not dealing with the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's not dealing with that seed. Interesting. So now we have to get precept. Now we have to go to the law to establish what exactly he's saying here and who are these, because this is the class that is teaching the law of the strangers. I want you to read that again, verse 12.
And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generation.
Now I want y'all to understand too, it's not saying that a non-Israel, a non-seed of Abraham can circumcise himself and be a part of the covenant. It's saying that we have to do that. We have to establish that. We have to circumcise him. Read. He that is.
Okay. He that is born in the house.
He that is born in your house. Read.
Or bought with money.
Or he that is bought with money.
Of any stranger.
Come on.
Which is not of thy seed.
Which is not of thy seed. Verse 13.
He that is born in thy house.
Come on.
And he that is bought with thy money.
Come on.
Must needs to be circumcised.
Read.
And my covenant shall be in your flesh.
In whose flesh?
In your flesh.
Read.
For an everlasting covenant.
Now, we got to go to the law to find out about this other stranger. Because remember, we got two types of strangers. Where are we going to go for that? You know where we're going to go for that? The book of Leviticus. We'll go to the book of Leviticus. The book of Leviticus. Remember, this class is about the law of the strangers. So we're going to go to Leviticus 25. We're going to start at 35. Salakia, start at we're gonna start at 25 and 35. That's the why. Read.
Chapter 25. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 25, verse 35.
This is Leviticus 25 and 35. Remember the law of the strangers. Read.
And if thy brother be waxing poor.
If thy brother be waxing poor. Read.
And fallen in decay.
Come on.
With thee. Then thou shalt relieve him.
Come on.
Yeah. Though he be a stranger.
Though he be a what?
A stranger.
So it says, if your brother fall waxing, it says, and if thy brother be waxing poor and fall in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him. Yea, though he be a stranger. This is speaking about an Israelite. Read.
Or a sojourner.
Or a sojourner. So it's talking about an Israelite. These are Israelite is called a stranger or a sojourner. Read.
That he may live with thee.
Remember, we established that an Israelite that is not in his land, is not in his place, is considered a stranger. Just like all of us, we are all strangers. A sojourn is an Israelite here that travels back and forth, a foreigner, right? Read verse 36.
Take thou no usury of him.
Read.
Or increase.
Come on.
But fear thy God.
Come on.
That thy brother.
That thy what?
That thy brother.
That thy brother, read.
May live with thee.
That thy brother may live with thee. So here is establishing that an Israelite can be called a stranger or a sojourner. Read.
Thou shalt not give him thy money upon usury.
Read.
Nor lend him thy victuals for increase.
Read.
I am the Lord your God.
Come on.
Which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt.
Come on.
To give you the land of Canaan.
That's right. Read.
And to be your God.
Now, this is, once again, this is Israelite. Israelites are called strangers and sojourners. Remember, this is the law of the strangers. Verse 39. Read.
And if thy brother that dwelleth by thee be waxing poor.
Come on.
And be sold unto thee.
Come on.
Thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant.
I want y'all to remember that. I want you to remember exactly what he just said, because we're going to come back to that. So he says, if thy brother that dwell by thee be waxed and poor and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bond servant. So you can't have your brother that's an Israelite serve like a bond servant. Verse 40.
But servant.
but as a hired servant, someone that you just hired. That's how you got to treat him. Not like a bond servant. Remember that, read.
and as a sojourner.
And as a sojourner, like someone that's traveling, coming back and forth. Read.
He shall be with thee,
Come on.
and shall serve thee unto the year of Jubilee.
Now, it's saying that the brother, your brother, that's an Israelite, that's a stranger or a sojourner, should actually serve you until the year of Jubilee. To the year of Jubilee. Nobody else can fit this. You can't be not an Israelite and fit this. Watch this. Read. We're going to show you what the Jubilee is. Read.
And then shall he depart from thee.
So at the time of the Jubilee, he should do what?
Shall depart from thee.
Come on.
Both he
Both.
and
Go ahead.
his children
Both he and his children. Go ahead.
with him.
Come on.
And shall return unto his own family.
And shall return unto his own family. Read.
And unto the possession of his father.
Unto the possessions of his father. We're the only ones that receive possession. We're the only ones that receive land. The 12 tribes of Israel. If it's another type of stranger, if it's a non-Israelite stranger, what land is he going back to? What possession he going back to? This law is dealing with a brother that is a stranger or a sojourner. Read.
Oh, God. He return, for they are my servants.
They are, Most High saying they are mines. They are mines. Read.
Which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt.
Which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. Read.
They shall not be as a bondman.
They should not be as a bondman. So Salakia. They shall not be sold as bondmen. Read.
Thou shalt not rule over them with rigor, but shall fear thy God.
So you should got to fear the Most High. So it's a certain way you got to handle a stranger or a sojourner. That's your brother. That's your brother. And once the Jubilee hit, the year of the Jubilee, you got to let him go. He can go back to his own possession. He can go back to his own land. Read verse 44.
Oh God. Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you.
Now it's saying, remember, I told you we're going to come back to that. Go back up to verse 39 and read verse 39. Read.
And if
thy brother, read,
that dwelleth by thee waxen poor,
come on,
and be sold unto thee,
read,
thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bond servant.
You can't have him serve as a bond servant. You can't have him serve as a bond servant. Read verse 42 just as well.
Oh God. For they are my servants, which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt.
Come on.
They shall not be sold as bondmen.
So they can't be your bond servant. You can't treat an Israelite stranger or sojourner as a bond servant or a bondman. But verse 44, read it again.
Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids.
Now the one that you can't treat your brother like, that's a stranger or a sojourner, read.
Which thou shalt have shall be of the heathen that are round about you.
This is the other nations. The other nations around about you. Those are your bondmen and your bondmaid. Read.
Of them shall ye buy.
Of them shall ye what?
Ye buy bondmen and bondmaids.
So the heathens that are around you, those are the ones that you can buy. Remember, we read in Genesis 17 where it talked about Abraham circumcising the strangers that he buy. Well, the strangers that he buy is different from the stranger that's an Israelite. The stranger of an Israelite, you can't treat him like that. So these are two different too. Verse 45.
of the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy.
So now we know who the ones that Abraham had to circumcise that he bought. Those were the bondmen and bondwomen, the bondmaids, the bond servants. Read.
And of their families that are with you,
Come on.
which they beget in your land.
So when they have children, when they give birth to children, read.
And they shall be your possession.
They shall be what?
They shall be your possession.
They shall be your possession. They shall be your possession. Read.
And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children.
Come
after
on.
You,
Come on.
to inherit them for a possession.
You shall give them to your children as a possession. They are our possession. Read.
They shall be your bondmen forever.
For how long?
Forever.
For how long?
Forever.
They shall be your bond. They shall be your bondmen forever. Remember, this can't be an Israelite stranger. This is a heathen stranger. The ones that you buy, the ones that Abraham was given based on the covenant that he had to circumcise all males that was in under his roof. The ones that he buy, those are his possession, like your cattle. Read.
But over your brethren, the children of Israel.
But over your brother, the children of Israel, read.
Ye shall not rule one over another with rigor.
So it's a difference. It's a difference in stranger. Why am I establishing this? We're establishing this is because we have to use this and navigate this way throughout the whole Bible. Because this is law. So whenever we see the word stranger anywhere in the scriptures, how it is used based on its context will determine if it's an Israelite or not.
Right.
This is how you have to navigate this throughout the whole entire Bible. The whole Bible. Because nothing changed. The Messiah didn't come to do away with the law.
Right.
Give me Matthew 5:17 real quick.
Book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 17.
Come on.
Think not that I am come to destroy the law.
Don't even consider I came to destroy the law. This is the Messiah speaking. This is Yahweh speaking. Read.
Or the prophet.
Come on.
I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
But to fulfill. Read.
For verily I say unto you,
Come on.
till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law,
Come on.
till all be fulfilled.
Read.
Verse 19. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven.
Now, in the School of Universal Practical Knowledge, we teach this law.
That's right.
We teach this law. And we use this law for strangers to navigate the whole entire Bible. Now I'm gonna show you. Now remember, we went to Genesis and we saw the word stranger, right? And we established that the word stranger, the first time it was used for Israelites, right? I'm gonna show you somewhere else all the way in the rear of the Bible where the word stranger is used and is used for Israelites again. Give me James 1:1. James 1:1 to see if the word stranger is used differently in the New Testament. Is the word stranger used somehow differently? Remember, I said that it has to flow like a river. It can't contradict itself. Scripture can't contradict itself. If it says something one way, somewhere, it has to mean the same in another place. Read James 1:1. Let's get it.
James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad greeting.
Now, we understand that, read that again.
James, a servant of God and of the Lord Yahushua, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad.
So the 12 tribes are scattered abroad. Now I want you to give me 1 Peter 1:1. Let's see if the word stranger is used differently. To the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad.
Come.
Let's get it.
This is 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 1. Peter, an apostle of Yahushua Mashiach, to the strangers scattered abroad throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia.
So these strangers in Peter 1:1 is the same strangers. Is the same 12 tribes that are scattered abroad in James 1:1. It's nothing different. See how it flows? See how it goes? So now let's go to where this question came up about the strangers. All right, where I was hit with the strangers, and they, no, these strangers they're part of the covenant. We already established that when we read that in Genesis 17, that those strangers in Genesis 17 that was bought with money based on the law cannot be a part of the covenant. Stop saying that. That's silly talk. That's clubhouse talk.
Right.
That's real silly. Let's go to Exodus chapter 12. Matter of fact, let's go to the book of Exodus. Let's go to Exodus. Let's see the word stranger being used again. And let's go to Exodus chapter 2 and 22.
Come.
Let's
Book
get
of Exodus chapter 2, verse 22. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom. For he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land.
I have been a stranger in a strange land. Well, what is this establishing? Once again, it's showing you that when you're out of place, you are considered a stranger in the scriptures. When we're not in our land, we are considered strangers. All right. So this is where it came up at. Let's go to Exodus 12. This was the big fallout. It's two of them. Before we go there, one more. I want to show you guys something. I want you to get me Deuteronomy 28 and 43. And Matazia Allah, I want you to get me Exodus 20 and 10. Now, this is the big thing right here. People always want to run to this. They always want to run in this and say, see, they're part of the covenant. This is how you know that non-Israelites are part of the covenant. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 43. Let's get it. Read.
The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high.
So it's saying, the Most High is saying the strangers that, read it again.
That is within thee.
Come on.
Shall get up above thee very high.
So he's establishing and teaching us his law. And he's saying that the strangers, now, the strangers that read it again.
The stranger that is within thee.
The strangers that are within thee, go ahead.
Shall get up above thee very high.
Now I got two questions. When we went into our land, did we have strangers around us?
Come.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. I'm going to show that. I'm going to prove that. But right here, I want to make sure that I try to get this language very clear. Here in Deuteronomy 28 and 43, he wasn't saying that it was strangers right there with us at that time. He wasn't saying that. He wasn't saying that it was strangers right among us. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. Watch this. Give me Exodus chapter 20 and 10.
Book of Exodus chapter 20, verse 10.
Come on.
But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gate.
So he's saying, nor thy stranger within thy gate. Was we in our land yet? No, we wasn't in our land yet. We was on our way there. It was being established. He wasn't saying that we were in our gates and the strangers that was there. Now they are somehow talking about right then and there, if you understand what I'm saying. Because the problem is when people read this stuff, read these scriptures, they believe and take it as if we're already in those positions, not understanding that the Most High is establishing the law. He's establishing rulership. He's establishing how we're going to govern ourselves. So he wasn't saying that right now at this time in Deuteronomy 20 and 10, we was in our gates and the strangers that was there, we wasn't there yet. Y'all understand what I'm saying? He wasn't saying that. Now, what scripture did I tell you to get, Matajiala?
Exodus 20 and 10.
I told you to get Exodus 20 and 10, and I told you to get Deuteronomy. Oh, now I want to show you where once we got in our land, was there strangers around us? Matajiala said, yeah, Kano and Khan. He said, absolutely. So let's go in and let's look at that. Let's see what those strangers was doing. Let's go to Judges chapter 3. Judges chapter 3. They wasn't around us and we were all just hanging out and chilling and having a ball and enjoying the covenant. It wasn't nothing like that. The Most High left those nations there for a purpose, for a reason. And this is why. Judges chapter 3, start at verse 1. Let's get it.
The book of Judges chapter 3, verse 1.
Read.
Now these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel.
To do what?
To prove Israel.
To prove Israel, to test Israel. These are the nations that the Most High left to prove Israel. These are those strangers that he left to prove Israel. Read.
By them, even as many of Israel as had not known all the wars of Canaan.
Come on.
Only that the generations of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war, at the least such as before knew nothing thereof. Namely, 5 lords of the Philistines.
Come on.
And all the Canaanites.
Come on.
And the Sidonians.
Come on.
And the Hivites.
Read.
That dwelt in the Mount Lebanon.
Read.
From Mount Baal Hermon unto the entering of Hamath.
Come on.
And they were to prove Israel.
They are the what?
And they were to prove Israel.
Read.
By them, to know whether they will hearken unto the commandments of Yahweh, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses.
So they was to prove, they was there to test us. That's what they were there for. And those same nations came up above us. Not that he was saying that during the time when we was coming out of Exodus and in the book of Deuteronomy, we were already established in there. He was forewarning us. That's what he was doing. So you got to get that notion out your head that somehow the nations, other nations was among us and they were being established in the covenant. That's nonsense. That's silly talk. All right. It was only given to the 12 tribes of Israel. And every time you see the word stranger, you have to use the law of the word stranger. In our law, our statute, our covenant, and our commandments. That's how it has to be used. It has to be used based on our culture, not based on America's culture, but based on our culture. And it is established within our law. You got a question? Got anything you want to add? All right, so now let's go to the scripture at hand. One that, oh my God, that was one of them, which was Deuteronomy 28 and 43. We're going to go to Exodus chapter 12. This is when we came out of Egypt, of course. Boy, I tell you, it's crazy. All right, so we're going to start at Exodus chapter 12 and verse. Hold on. Exodus 12 and 19. Exodus 12 and 19. Start at verse 18. Let's get it.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 18. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread.
Come on.
Until the 21st day of the month at evening.
Mm-hmm.
7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land.
Or born in the land. So it's establishing that a stranger or one that is born in the land will be what? Read that again. Shall be what? Verse 19.
7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land.
So is it rather he be a stranger or born in the land? Now go to verse 43. Start at verse 40.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 40.
Read.
Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years.
Read.
And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the selfsame day it came to pass, that all the hosts of Yahweh went out from the land of Egypt.
Come on.
It is a night to be much observed unto the Lord for bringing them out of the land of Egypt.
Come on.
This is that night of the Lord to be observed of all the children of Israel.
Of all the children of Israel. Read.
In their generation.
Now here it comes.
And Yahweh said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover.
So this is the ordinance of the Passover. This is the law of the Passover. All right. Read.
There shall no stranger eat thereof.
There shall no stranger eat thereof. What is a stranger? What is a stranger? I said it before. A stranger is one that is what?
Either is an Israelite that's not from the land.
That's not in the land. That's not in the land. Read. And we know this based on the fact of what we read in the scriptures. We know that a stranger could be an Israelite or a non-Israelite. So what stranger is this talking about? This is talking about an Israelite stranger. Read.
But every man's servant that is brought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof.
So now, what is this talking about? Read it again. Read 43 and 44. Read it again.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 43. And Yahweh said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover.
Come on.
There shall no stranger eat thereof.
Right.
But every man's servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof.
So now, what type of stranger is that now? What type of stranger is that? Go ahead.
He's talking about the heathen.
The heathen. The heathen. Because he is our possession. That's that stranger. Now read. Keep reading.
Verse 44. But every man's servant, Salakia, verse 45. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof.
Come on.
Verse 46. In one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth all of the flesh abroad out out of the house, neither shall ye break a bone thereof. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it.
Read.
And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover of Yahweh, let all his males be circumcised.
Come on.
And then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land. For no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof.
So what type of stranger is this talking about in 48?
Is this back to the Israelite?
This is the Israelite. This is an Israelite. This is a Israelite.
Check the broadcast.
All right. That is an Israelite. All right. It's very important to understand this. Read. Read that again.
Which verse?
Verse 48.
And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover of Yahweh, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near to keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you.
So we know that this is speaking about the Israelite. This is speaking about the Israelite. Now go back up to 43. Read that again and make sure that we clear on 43.
And Yahweh said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof.
There shall no stranger eat thereof. Read.
But every man's servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof.
So now we know this is not an Israelite. This is not an Israelite. This right here is speaking about a stranger that is bought with money. Remember, a stranger that is bought with money is not an Israelite. But the second one, that is an Israelite. And then he established in 49, this is what he's establishing. Read in 49.
One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. Thus did all the children of Israel, as Yahweh commanded Moses and Aaron.
Read.
So did they.
Come on.
And it came to pass the self same day that Yahweh did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies.
Now, so he's establishing that there's only one law. And within that one law, we have statutes that govern both type of strangers. A stranger that is in our land that is not circumcised, he can't eat the Passover. The only way he can be circumcised, we have to circumcise him. And he has to be bought with money. We're not just going around circumcising them. They are our possession. That's how that works. That's how that works. So all you people that's running around talking about, oh, no, this is actually establishing the fact that they are part of the covenant. No. If they're bought with money, they are our possession. They're not someone that's just coming in and saying, you know what? I like what y'all got going on here. I think I'm going to circumcise myself and I'm going to take me a spot. And then I'm going to wait for the year of Jubilee. And then when the year of Jubilee comes, then I'm just going to take me some land. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Now I'm going to show you David. It's not going to be a long class, but I'm going to show you David. And I'm going to show you where David actually spoke on this. Go to Psalms 69 and 8. Psalm 69 and 8. Give me Psalm 69 and 8. I want you to get that Zarah Bakar and Mataziala. I want you to get me, hold on, 1 Samuel. I think it's 1 Samuel. Yeah, 1 Samuel 23. Now I want you to give me Psalms 69 and 8. Read.
The book of Psalms, chapter 69, verse 8.
Read.
I am become a stranger unto my brethren, and I am an alien unto my mother's children.
So this is David. And David is saying, I am become as a stranger unto my brother and an alien unto my mother's children. Why is he saying this? This is during the time when he was being chased by Saul. Okay? During the time when he's being chased by Saul. Now I want you to get me 1 Samuel chapter 23 and start at verse 9.
Book of 1 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 9.
Come on.
And David knew that Saul secretly practiced mischief against him.
Come on.
And he said to Abiathar, the priest,
Come on.
bring hither the ephod. Then said David, O Yahweh, power of Israel, thy servant hath certainly heard that Saul seeketh to come to Keilah, to destroy the city for my sake.
Come on.
Will the men of Keilah deliver me up into his hand? Will Saul come down as thy servant have heard? O Yahweh, power of Israel, I beseech thee, tell thy servant. And Yahweh said, he will come down.
Read.
Then said David, will the men of Keilah deliver me and my men into the hand of Saul?
So David is asking the Most High, will they deliver me unto Saul? Because Saul wanted to kill David. Right? Read.
And Yahweh said, they will deliver you.
So the Most High said, yeah, yep, they're definitely going to deliver thee up. They definitely going to give you up. Read.
Verse 13, then David and his men, which were about 600, arose and departed out of Keilah.
So they left out of Keilah. After he spoke to the Most High, and the Most High said that they was going to give him up, he left. Him and his men, they left. Read.
And went whithersoever they could go. And it was told Saul that David was escaped from Keilah, and he forbore to go forth.
Come on.
Verse 14, and David abode in the wilderness in strongholds, and remained in a mountain in the wilderness of Ziph.
Come on.
And Saul sought him every day, but the Most High delivered him not into his hand. And David saw that Saul was come out to seek his life. And David was in the wilderness of Ziph in a wood. Verse 16, and Jonathan, Saul's son, arose and went to David into the wood and strengthened his hand in Yahweh. And he said unto him, fear not, for the hand of Saul my father shall not find thee, and thou shalt be king over Israel, and I shall be next unto thee, and that also Saul my father knoweth. And they two made a covenant before Yahweh. And David abode in the wood, and Jonathan went to his house.
Read.
Verse 19. Then came up the Ziphites.
Then came up who?
The Ziphites.
Come on.
To Saul to Gibeah, saying, doeth not David hide himself with us in strongholds in the wood, in the hill of Keilah, which is on the south of Jeshimon?
All right. So what are we establishing here? David went to Ziph, right? And he was among Ziph. Now, I want you to read, and the Ziphites went to Saul and gave David up. Read Psalm 69 and 8 one more time for me. Stay there right there. Hey, Mataziala, I want you to look up Ziph. Look up Ziph. Give me the definition of the Ziphites. Ziph. Read that again.
Oh, God. The book of Psalms, chapter 69, verse 8. I am become a stranger unto my brethren.
So I have become a stranger unto my brethren. Who was David talking about? He was talking about Ziph. He was dwelling among Ziph, the Ziphites. And he had became a stranger unto them, and they gave him up. What's the definition of Ziph? The Ziphites?
Ziph. Battlement. A son of Jehaleel.
Come on.
A descendant of Judah.
A descendant of who?
A descendant of Judah.
A descendant of who?
A descendant of Judah.
Who else was a descendant of Judah? David. David also was a descendant of Judah. This is why David said this in Psalm 69:8. Read it again.
I am become a stranger unto my brother.
I have become a stranger unto my brother.
And an alien unto my mother's children.
And an alien unto my mother's children. This is what David is establishing. So what are we saying? When you see the word stranger, you cannot always automatically, based on the culture from where you from, and establish and say that it's not an Israelite. I showed you the law of the stranger. I showed you that there's only one law, and in that one law, it established the fact that there's a law for strangers that's Israelites and strangers that are not Israelites. And then we looked at Genesis 12, saw the same thing. There's only one law. There's only one law. And in our law, in our statute, it established that. And here we see David actually saying he has become a stranger unto his brethren, Ziphites. And Ziphites is who? Read that again, Mataziala. Read it out loud so to make sure that they hear it and understand who the Ziphites are. And remember, he dwelt in the wilderness.
A son, Ziph, a son of Jehaleel, a descendant of Judah.
A descendant of Judah. A descendant of Judah. So David became a stranger unto his brethren, and they gave him up. All right. So any questions? You got it? Always remember, whenever someone bring up a question or trying to establish something outside of the 12 tribes as being a part of the covenant, you have to go to precept. You have to go to law, and you have to establish the fact that we have a culture right within our scriptures, right within our ordinances. All right. So I'm going to pass the class over to Officer Mataziala. I see it. Okay, keep going now. Zarab Bakar, get that. Go ahead. You get it. Get that camera.
All right, GPK security announcements. Rules for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to learn and share themselves with the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, they are to seek counsel from the heads. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10, means tenth in Hebrew, Ma'ashera. 10% of every penny of any increase belongs to the Lord. Priest fund, which is a free will offering for the priest, not mandatory. Whatever amount you like to donate. Upcoming holy convocations, we have the Feast of Dedication,
Right.
The Hanukkah, coming up in November 28th. That's Sunday, November 28th. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, and scarf. With that being said, individual Amajim, we'll give the teacher a courtesy salute. Amajim Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah,
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah, Thumb,
Yazmatah. Sarbs means to turn, sisters Amajim means to stand. We're going to give the sister a courtesy salute. Men of Israel, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yahweh Shemar Al Hashem Yahushua, Yazmatah. Class dismissed.